we decide to expand and to launch a discussion that would be free of geographical boundaries, and we aim at addressing an issue that is paramount at this time in history, which is the relationship between mankind and technology. Mankind and technology in these fast-changing times, and it's also an issue that requires fast-changing solutions. So today, with the help of our outstanding speakers, we will try to get into deeper to this conversation, exploring the need that we have of a human-centric vision in business, especially, and with the aid of this vision, how these companies, how these speakers, how these individuals implemented the return of humanism inside their companies with the aid of technology. So let me introduce you first to Interlogica and to myself. I am Diana Atito, business developer in Interlogica. Interlogica is the company that organized this event. And it's a company that would like to be defined as more than a mere software house. We would like to say that we deliver sophisticated and complex digital solutions while maintaining our hacker legacy. What does this give us? A disruptive vision of the world and the freedom to be our best selves creatively. The reason why this topic is so dear to us is that we believe in the value of the 90 human beings that compose Interlogica, and we would like to invest more and more in culture and cultural events such as this. And now let me briefly introduce you to our roundtable. Our keynote speaker, Bastian Baerenfaenger, is a digital humanism expert, a certified empathy trainer, and a longtime manager in the beauty industry. He has 16 years of experience in education and training. Our next guest will be Saeed Omar, co-founder and CEO of SitatByoot. 10 years ago, he created a community and a business that connects over 22 Arab countries and the women of these countries who otherwise were isolated through sewing and embroidery, and all of this digitally. Tonight, Florian Holste could not be here with us, but in his place, representing 8020, is Frank Halmen, head of training and culture. And he will tell us how this consulting company from Germany has this innovative approach and to digital and to accompanying other companies to digitalization. Following will be somebody who doesn't need introductions. It's Dr. Ernesto Cirolli, one of the world's leading consultants in economic development and entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial facilitation. He is the founder and CEO of the Cirolli Institute. Next will be Alessandro Fossato. Hello, Alessandro, and founder of our company, Interlogica. He will tell us a little bit more about the company and specifically about the genesis and development of a tool called Big Up. Big Up is a tool, as it's an HR tech tool, which is meant to convert appreciation into value. And last but not least, our female representation, a great professional. She is head of global sustainability and infrastructure and networks at Enel Group. She will tell us a little bit about the strategies that were implemented in Enel Group to give value to their employees. We all know that for such a big company, it's very hard for employees to not just be considered as mere numbers. So we're really looking forward to hear about that. I will give the word to Bastian Baerenfaenger with our keynote speech. Hello, Bastian.
Hi, Diana. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me tonight and asking me to talk about empathy. And I think it's not just empathy we are talking about. You already introduced everyone else, so we have a wide variety of different topics, but by the end of the day, I think and clearly believe it's all about us. It's about human, and that's why we call this event Digital Humanism, because we need to combine both worlds. And when you asked me about empathy and talking about it, I was really happy about it, that this is finding its way into the new world, let's call it this way. Let me tell you something first about empathy on its own. I think sometimes It has a feeling around it. I think sometimes it's actually sold far too commercial. So it's not really about healing the whole world from everything. I think it has a deep meaning and we can do a lot of it, but I think we need to look at it with a clear structure, with a clear business, but also human impact. So again, it's about combining different worlds. And again, sometimes I think it's actually sold far too commercial. So let's have a look at it, how we can give it a clear structure to benefit all the problems we need to address. And a clear structure, I think this is something really important, especially when it comes to creative things, when it comes to feelings, when it comes to things like, again, empathy, when we are talking about things like that. I think it's important to have a clear structure to really get it, to learn it, but maybe also to teach it, because I think especially empathy is a topic where you sometimes ask yourself, how is it possible to learn that or to teach that? How should maybe this or that person learn something about empathy? He's not a very empathic person. But I think, first of all, everyone is born that way. So there is something, we sometimes need to dig a little bit for it, but we will find it. And again, I think a structure is really important. And a structure for me, this is how my empathy trainer taught me empathy, is about I, you, and we. So it's not only about having the understanding of another person, because this is something you often hear when you ask people, what is empathy for you? They are answering, that is that I can understand very well what the person I'm talking to is feeling, what he is thinking, to really support him in his needs. But it's not only about the other person. I think and believe it's also about myself, because if I understand myself very well, it helps me also to understand, why do I react in this way? Why is this making me angry? Why is this making me happy? Why is that making me sad? Why do I have a good feeling with that? So I need to look at both components. It's the other person, but it's also myself. And I think if you combine this, the I and the you, then you will end up with a we, which is a kind of relationship thing. And then I think we are in a business context. And it's, for me, empathy, it's not a standalone product. I think it goes very strong hand in hand with the topic of mindfulness, and also sometimes sold in a far too commercial way, actually. But both of them also not standalone products. I think you have to see empathy and mindfulness maybe also as a kickoff to a wide range of different skills we need to have. We always had them. I think in the future we will need them even more. I call that social intelligence. So it's not only about empathy and mindfulness. Again, this is something we could or can see as a kickoff to a wide variety of human skills we need to go a step further. And let me show you one or two slides, or maybe two or three, just to deep dive a little bit why this topic of empathy is getting more and more important. I think actually we are walking between two worlds, let's put it this way. The old world, the kind of industrialism, the world we lived in, and the new world, which is the digital world we are talking about in a minute. And I think industrialism in the very first beginning had also a lot of entrepreneurial spirit. Things had to be invented. We have been very much on the creative side of life. And then once the things have been invented, we've been facing a little bit more on the kind of logical side and structures and hierarchies. and everything was streamlined, profitability, and yeah, all of these kind of things have been in focus. And I think this is coming a little bit to an end, because at one point you can't increase the profit. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's busted. It's at an end, and I think this is when creativity again comes in. And this is what we actually, I think, feel when walking again between these worlds. We are talking about people are not feeling very happy. This is because of the complexity in this world. The complexity in the jobs is getting higher and higher. At the same time, the consumption of digitalization already is stressing at the same time. So we have more and more things we are doing at the same time. And it's also paired with a big part of individualism, I call it. This is what you see on the social networks, on Facebook, on Instagram. Everyone is a star, the influencers and all of these things. But again, this is a very individual topic. But when we want to face and when we want to get through the complexity of the new world, we need to work as a collective intelligence. And this is when we have to come together. This is, I think, where we have to speak again to each other, because this is changing in the digital world as well. We are communicating via WhatsApp and Facebook and all these messengers. And I think, again, this needs to change. This is also directly going into a kind of nonsensical world we are living in. People are looking for a sense for real sustainability. We are going to hear about that tonight. And again, I already said we need to bring back the creativity. And again, having in mind what I have already said, I think it's not about the empathy and mindfulness on its own. It's about the bunch of skills we can apply. See it again as a kickoff. Empathy for things like charm and communicating with each other, mindfulness for thinking, learning, and putting all of this together will lead into, again, a kind of collective intelligence we need for the new world. And when we have a look to the new world, why is empathy and all these social skills, again, very much important? I think it's very important to have a look at a digital development from a social ethics point of view, because if we just develop and consume the products without thinking about it, without educating about it, sometimes it goes into the wrong direction, and we need to adapt it again to the real world. Let's put it this way. And I think digitalization in future should be a benefit to enlighten our cultural life in private, but also in business life. Again, the complexity, we will have to work more and more in interdisciplinary, very fast teams. One person can't do everything alone. We are influenced by more and more knowledge. So again, the complexity or the collective intelligence will be the answer. And I think last but not least, we have a historical chance to really work very close to kind of real purpose, real sustainability. Again, when we started the industrialism, we had far longer working hours than we have today. We have more free time, normally. We have more time to be creative, to really think. And if KI is taken over in future repetitive work, then we can focus on the creative work. And I think, therefore, it is very important to work on topics like empathy, on social intelligence. And yeah, this is basically what I would like to finish off. We need social intelligence in modern organizations, in modern ecosystems, systems, again, in business, but also private life. Yes.
Thank you, Bastian. This was very, very enlightening. Especially, I remember our private conversations that we had about empathy, about how the world needs this and how we have to change our perspective, how digitalization needs to be also useful to us in a way that impacts ethics and it's socially sustainable. I would like to hear from Saeed and his experience and how he used technology to create sustainability and to connect all of those wonderful women.
Hi, people. I hope everybody's keeping safe everywhere, anywhere around the world. My name is Saeed Omar, and like this month actually marks the 10th anniversary of a social enterprise that I started in 2010. And the concept of what we were trying to establish was to play around the supply chain of home-based businesses that are started by women in the Arab world. And what we have actually noticed throughout our experience is that women in our culture are not necessarily always integrated into the economy. And the numbers are actually very, very shocking because only around 12% in countries like Jordan and Saudi Arabia are involved in the labor force. So there is a great number of very learned women, very capable women who are achieving, but they're sitting at home and their credentials are going to waste. So what we thought of is basically, I mean, digitizing the whole process, trying to actually get into the industry of home-based businesses, especially in sewing, embroidery, and doing needlework kind of orders, and trying to get as many women involved from wherever they are in the Arab world. So in order to do that, what we did is we put a website that communicated with videos about certain skills, embroidery, crochet, needlework, tambour embroidery, all of those beautiful kind of lessons, but we've done them in Arabic. And over the years, I mean, it was 2011, 2012, the Arab Spring was rising and everybody was actually going crazy about the social networks. If you remember, Facebook was a big thing in the Arab world, in the Arab Spring. If you remember Egypt, and then after that Libya, and it started with Tunis. So everybody was getting online. And in the Arab world, we obviously skipped the e-commerce revolution that was very thriving in North America and Europe. And we went directly into the social networking. So the young people were first to go online. And last but not least, the Arab women who were not necessarily very educated. There was a big niche that came very, very last in 2012, 2013. And when they were online, they had nowhere to go but our Facebook fan page, which was very, very rigid, very little information on it, but they saw hope. They saw a purpose, actually. They saw their name, because in Arabic, it's SitatByoot, plural for sitbait, which is housewife. And I said, okay, this is something that we can do. We can actually get involved with. And the Facebook page suddenly started going off the roof in terms of numbers, in terms of visits. And we became 100,000. And by 2013, 14, we became like around 1 million. So once we had all this big number of women who wanted to do something with their lives, they wanted to learn something, we started having the responsibility to direct them around the supply chain where they could actually sustain their income and better even find their purpose, find the raison d'etre of their lives. And that was something remarkable to witness, because at the beginning of this, there were only numbers. You know, if anybody of you guys have worked online, we have the terms of viewership, impressions, people who click here and click there, and then it's only numbers. It's void of any meanings. But for us, over the years, and as we started learning about each and every click and each and every life that we were affecting, we started developing this kind of empathy that Bastian was talking about. And in that meaningful sense, we started only growing in our company, because we started seeing the end in mind. Where are we going with this? What are we doing? What purpose are we actually going to be serving all of these people? And so many projects eventually mushroomed out of this, let's say, platform, because eventually we had around 1 million people, million plus. And from those people, we had around 100,000 people registered on our website. The people we've taught and had certificates were numbering around 10,000 people. And we had obviously a funnel, and that funnel reached to a very crucial number, which is around 650 women who are, you can go to war with them. They are very skilled. They can take any order. They are each has an income, generated income, monthly income of around $1,000. Some people are in Egypt. Some people in the Syrian civil war back in 2015, 16, 17. They were working. They were actually doing orders. They were shipping to Europe through Turkey, and they were working on limited editions, premium fashion collections. So, I mean, we have obviously a lot of stories around our history, the past decade. I've learned so much, and it wouldn't have been possible without us being open, have an open horizon for my team to get people in, no matter what their story, where they're coming from, and where they want to go, and not keeping a rigid presence online, because that would have not actually took us anywhere. If we had only a proposition that we were actually an online academy, we wouldn't, and we presented ourselves as such, I don't think we would have actually succeeded. So with that empathy we cherish so much, and we present ourselves always as people who understand, or try to understand, the people we are serving, and try to actually get them where they want to be. Obviously, throughout as well, there was a very important factor, which is reviving the arts of the Middle East and trying to get people back to productivity, not consumerism. And that's actually very difficult. To those of you who have not been to the Middle East, it's becoming a very consumerist driven market. There's a lot of emphasis on trading and bringing a lot of goods from abroad, and no emphasis on manufacturing or producing. And that's actually changed in only 2 generations. I trace my grandmother, who up to her last moments on planet Earth, she produced every single garment piece that she had. The linen on her bed, the crochet on her table, everything she produced. And now 2 generations passed, we are nowhere to have that lifestyle. So that's a big dimension as well. That's a big purpose for us. And I think that is empathetic as well, because it funnels down to the goodness of people, because if they can factor that in, it will contribute to their happiness. So with that, I conclude, and hopefully later on, maybe there will be any questions.
Incredible, Saeed, what you have achieved in so little time, actually, and the geographical impact and the social impact that your business and now community has. I would like to hear from Frank how 8020 helped impact the lives of their teams, and a little presentation. Thank you, Saeed.
Thank you, Saeed. Thank you, Diana. So hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be part of this group, of this conference. My name is Frank. I'm working for 8020, a German consulting company based in Ingolstadt, Bavaria. And we're a little bit different than other companies, as we are a very young and very innovative company that, yeah, tries to have a fresh take on consultancy and in general on how to work with customers. So before I started 3 years ago at 8020, I always had this image of consultancy as being a very volatile, also very competitive market or industry that is, well, rather not desirable to work at. And when I did get to know 8020, I was introduced to a very, very diverse team, counting 150 people at this moment, located on 5 different locations over Germany and Slovenia. And that has, as I said, a very fresh take on consultancy that is to deliver very creative, customer-oriented solutions that are sustainable and not just something that you want to sell, but something that really helps people and the people that we work with. So to give you a brief idea where we come from and also what we offer, I just take you to our 5 core businesses, which is first of all, the traditional business of consulting in project management and process management. This is, I think, the source of our company. However, we soon realized that there are way more topics that we actually would like to dive in, that we are eager to learn stuff from, and that actually our customers asked us about, such as marketing or software development. So I think this is one of the points that Bastian also mentioned, that people want to see purpose in their work and that they want to really create new things. And instead of just sticking to our old or to our core business, we decided, hey, why not learn about software development? So soon we founded a second core business, which is software development. We create apps, we deliver software solutions for our customers. And soon after that, we realized, hold on, we come to a point where we have to also communicate with people, where we have to market things, where we have to transport them and make them accessible. So we started to dig into communication, also marketing, and try to build up some new competences in that area as well. So as you can see, one step after the other, we did enlarge our portfolio here. And this also allows us to, well, to learn new stuff every day. So I think one of the unique factors about our company is that we are very, very open to learning new things. We embrace the desire to learn. And the most common sentence that you will hear from our boss is, well, if you want to do it, just do it. So this freedom to create, this freedom to learn and also to try and error, I think this is something very unique here that gives us a nice environment that allows us to create new stuff. And what can be created in this environment, for example, is that we every now and then found new startups. Actually, as I said, our team is very diverse. It's set up by very, very different backgrounds. We got psychologists. I'm a cultural scientist. We got, of course, people with an economic background, but also professional sports guys. And this diversity leads to very different perspectives on different problems, and allows us also to come up with very creative ideas. So in the past years, we managed to, based on these creative ideas, to set up 4 or 5 startups that cover actually very, very different topics than the topics that we originally worked at. So just to name a few, we created a company that offers professional sports coaching, and another company that is called the Seed Accelerator, that helps new entrepreneurs to set up their companies, to get started in the business world, and to have someone at hand who gives them business advice, for example. And my personal favorite is a startup called 11 Grad, which is German for 11 degrees. And this is a startup that takes care, or that is surrounded around wine and the culture behind wine, because we found that we are all interested in wine, but we, well, knew way too little about wine and wanted to learn more about this topic. So we founded this startup and offer young people here in Ingolstadt a new and a fresh approach on this topic. But also this freedom, this creative space allowed us in times of COVID to really help out people and to support our local, not only economy, but mostly friends here in Ingolstadt. We are very well connected here in the city and have many friends that are owners of restaurants or that work at bars or that were really, really struggling lately during the period of COVID. And there we had the freedom and also the, let's say, bravery to set up an online platform to help out these guys, to enable them, well, offer their products without being traditionally located online, because many of these restaurants had really, weren't that connected, not that digitalized yet. So this freedom and this openness to innovation, to creativity, is really something that I personally value a lot here at 8020, and that we really embrace and want to transport throughout our work.
Thank you very much, Frank. With your insight, it is clear that it is very important, excuse me, it is very important to have a safe space to create inside the company for new ideas, and to create a space where everybody can feel safe and can feel free to express their own creativity. And from there, this is a starting point, a very human starting point, to create something new, something beautiful. And you did that also with the aid of technology.
That's right. So we do use technology to enable our ideas to come to life. However, we do not see technology as the goal that you have to go after. Traditionally, we have companies that approach us and say, hey, we really want to get into the digitalization thing, and we really have to catch up there. But when we start working with these people or with these companies, we always start at, what are your core values? What are the goals that you want to achieve? And what do the people in your company actually want to achieve as a purpose of the company? And only once you have set up this basement, this fundament of values, then you can decide which technology will help you to achieve this goal. And I think this is something that often is mistaken as, or try to achieve the other way around, as people think that digitalization is actually the way to a better work environment, but actually it's just a tool that we use to achieve other things that are based on our core values.
Thank you very much. And speaking of tools, I would like to give word to Alessandro Fossato. He will tell us about a tool that was developed inside Interlogica, and we would really much like to know about it.
Thank you, Diana. Okay, I start with a few. But first, I must say that it's beautiful to be here. I like it's wonderful to be to organize and to have the opportunity to listen to people that did so much for humans using the technology. You know, Interlogica is something that is normally called a software house. I say that we are people that we are a company that glues together brilliant people and connect brains in order to generate value through technology. And you know, when you need to create value using the brains of the people, you need to have people that can think, and you cannot think when you're a slave. So our organization is very focused on in giving freedom to the humans, and in allowing people to work in a place where they can express the best of themselves. And so the company is not hierarchical, starts to be flat. Usually things that you probably listen in every Agile conference around. Companies flat, people need to be able to learn forever, to grow continuously. You don't focus on what people knows, you focus on what people can learn for the entire life or for the time they stay in the company. And many rules that are common in the previous organizational organizational schemas, on the industrial way companies were organized. Most of the paradigms of old companies don't work in this new kind of company. Time ago we started, we had the need to reward the best people in the company. And we started to ask ourselves, oh, what kind of incentive system can we adopt inside the company to reward the best people? And the problem in incentive systems is that you cannot incentivize humans. You can reward. And we started to look around, and we've seen many systems to incentivize people based on KPI and all that stuff, but no one of them was aligned with our culture. And so we started to think that we needed something different. As first, what kind of people do you need to incentivize? What are you incentivizing? What are you rewarding inside the company? In a company that grows continuously with brilliant people that use their brain and that grows continuously, the most important thing to reward for us is the collaboration. So let's say something very close to the empathy. Collaboration is the thing that in a community of humans enable a lot of humans to grow, to learn. If you can collaborate with your colleague, you are not afraid to make errors. They don't finger point to you, etc. So we found an approach that is called merit money, that is a sort of let's say game inside the organization, and where the organization gives to every person in the company a certain number of tokens. Imagine physical tokens like plastic stuff, RFID or similar. We give, at the beginning, we started giving 10 tokens every 2 weeks to every person in the company. No one could keep for himself the tokens received by the company, but everyone had to think to someone else that did something good in the last 2 weeks, and give the token to this person, explaining why, as a sign of appreciation. So basically, you go to a colleague, you say, "Oh, thanks, Chris. I give you 2 tokens. Why? The reason is because last week you helped me to resolve the trouble, or maybe I made an error and you helped me to resolve that error instead of a finger pointing to me." And we started with the plastic tokens, and so people, what happens? We started with plastic tokens, and we analyzed what was happening, and you know, it's beautiful because with this kind of game, let's say game, everyone in the organization every 2 weeks needed to think who did something good, and give to that person a sign of appreciation. Every certain amount of months, the company can convert the tokens that every person received from other colleagues in something valuable. So you can say, the company can say, oh, it's a moment of cash out. If you have 10 tokens, you can have 1 day off. You can, I don't know, have something valuable for you, time, money, benefits, whatever. We started with the plastic tokens, then we developed an application that we call Big App. This app was needed because not all the people in Interlogica is in the same headquarters. So we needed to send the tokens around the world. And at a certain point, the digitalization of the tokens was a need. We built this app, and we built it, and we started to use it inside the company. And then we discovered that this app is very beautiful, and it's something that we want to share with other companies. It's we started to think at these tokens as a sort of meta value. They don't represent a value; they represent appreciation. And you know, in our company, we want to allow people to grow up, to climb up in the Maslow's pyramid of needs. And this kind of token being appreciated by other people is a response to the need, to a higher need, rather than having to something to eat or a roof on the head. And that's the thing. Now we see that this works. It's a sort of Zen exercise that everyone in the company does every 10 days. It works. We started to share this technology with other companies. We started to share it with our friends in the upper calls, some meetings that we do every Thursday with Ernesto since the beginning of the lockdown. And we think that this is not only a software tool, is something that helps to bring in the company a different way of thinking. It's also very interesting because we can map, we have the data about the transactions inside the community, so we can see in the community in a way that is not normal. We can see who is more valuable, who is giving more value to the colleagues. And it's something that you normally cannot see with a questionnaire every 6 months or any kind of other tool we know. So that's all. We think even in this case, technology is just something that supports us, but the behaviors we are helping to grow in the company are humans, are human behaviors and better human behaviors. That's all. Sorry for a long speech, as usually.
Don't worry, Alessandra, it was very, very interesting. So technology as a neutral tool to help us become better individuals, better human beings at our service.
That's the point of digital humanism. We are spreading humanity. We are growing as humans with the help of technology. That is a very big help.
I see Maria Cristina is shaking her head, nodding her head. So I would really like to hear what she has to say about this, and how is technology useful into such a big company as Enel Group?
Now, first of all, thank you, because so many inspiring things has been already said. And so I was thinking what I can add more. So I will add my experience, that's it. Just to let you understand that when we are talking about Enel, Enel is in an industry, in the energy sector, We are in 5 different continents, dealing with more than 70,000 people all around the world. So I completely understand what has been said up to now about diversity. There is a lot of diversity inside my group, and this is a value, because diversity always brings something good in terms of creativity, a new way, a new perspectives. And so the idea here, how can we connect all these 70,000 people coming from Australia up to Chile, passing through South Africa? According to us, the idea that moves what we are doing every day. So I will use that word, which is trendy nowadays, and I hate everything that is trendy, because normally it scares me a little bit in terms of losing importance, but I will use that word purpose, because the purpose, if it is real, I mean, if it's a walk the talk, so it is linked not with your brand positioning, but what you want to do, what with your strategy, with your idea of executing what you are doing, brings value, brings a new mission, and brings people together, because we are sharing that idea of changing and affecting and leading the just transition. In my case, that's what we are living in. And so, for instance, an idea, and we started with that, it seems amazing, incredible, a little bit peculiar, but we changed also, being a little bit crazy in these last 5-6 years, was respecting the tradition and the cultures of each and every different countries, being part of our world at Enel, and to change and to let the people be what they are. For instance, we launched in a word, and we call it My Best Failure, which seems a little bit strange, but you can imagine we wanted to open up ourselves to innovation, for instance, because we strongly believe that innovation together with sustainability are the 2 important, relevant drivers to change and affect our industry. But innovation often comes from the outside of the company, because there are, as said, and here there are a lot of examples, a lot of startups, young people with smart ideas, and also inside the company, there are people with a lot of ideas, but normally they can't express. They don't have the courage to express their creativity, because, you know, they are scared about the organization. And so starting with awarding the My Best Failure was a way to change that culture, and, you know, to get the people much more not only engaged, but committed around the purpose that we have. Digitalization is crucial to us, not only because the platform is a tool, of course, to connect many people, but also because digitalization is the magic word to us to completely lead the just transition we are living in. When we are talking about energy, we are not talking about generation only. This is something quite simple, everyone can understand. When we are talking about the way we are changing the market in terms of generation, we are talking about how can we spread, how can we generate an energy which is clean, reliable, and affordable. And that's the reason why we are so committed now in changing the way we are dealing with renewable energies, for instance. But there is a part that no one can see. But when you are in your home or in your factory or wherever you are, and you want to have the light and you turn on the light, there is something behind that, which is the grid, the networks. And in this case, digitalization is crucial to get those operations done cutting the edge of technology. All the idea we share and we have around the smart city of the future, around the electric transport, around the access to electricity in area of the world which are still with no access to electricity, pass through digitalization. And digitalization, we need to keep it at the front end of technology, but also we always have to remember that there are people behind that. There are people that are using devices, tools that are innovative, that really can foster new solutions, that can catch business opportunities by solving social issues at the same time. And this is all the idea we have around the open innovation. That's the magic word. And to be digitalized and stay human, because that's the most important thing to do, is also trying to use technology in the best possible way. There is always the other, let's say, face of the word. There is a huge debate in these days around two movies, for instance, that you can see in the Netflix platform. I'm talking about The Great Hack and The Social Dilemma. And you can see that the way we use and we want to use technology at the very end depends on us. So we are responsible. I love the idea of social intelligence. I will add the word corporate intelligence at the same time, because being part of a corporation nowadays means also being part of the solution, not the problem. I think that the gaps among society and corporation does not longer exist, thanks to the fact that we are more open. We know the stakeholders, we know the tools that we can use together. We work more openly together with startups, social enterprises, universities, research centers, and people like Ernesto Sirolli that can really learn. They can learn from us and we can learn from them. And so we can share this kind of experience. And that to me means staying and being human every day.
Thank you, Maria Cristina. So we heard from very different companies, but the common thing that I have heard is that big and small companies respond to a common need. And the need is for empathy, and the need is to be understood and to be part of something that is bigger, to be part of a community, and to be able to collaborate, to be able to belong. And this is a need that we can answer to, and that a lot of individuals that we heard tonight have answered to it through technology. Another thing that is very strong is that we need to use technology in a wise way. So we need to use it, but we need to use it wisely, socially, ethically. So I would really like to remind you all that there will be a space tonight to address questions to us and to our speakers. Please do not feel shy, do not be shy. Write your questions in the chat or raise a hand. And after Ernesto's intervention, there will be, after his contribution, there will be a time where you will be able to ask questions and they will be answered. Ernesto, I give you the word, and please share with us your experience with all the things that we talked about tonight.
We've been basically in quarantine for 32 weeks in California. The pandemic has not been handled well, as you know, in the United States. But on top of that, we knew even before the Californians, so we knew how serious the pandemic was because we had Italian friends and we saw what was happening in Milan and in Venice. And we had an appointment to come and see Maria Cristina in Milan. We had some important appointments. And one of the very important appointments was with a group of some 60 entrepreneurs in Venezia, in Mestre, whom we have worked with in the past. We had organized, Alessandro Fossato had organized one of those epic dinners, Italian style, that starts at 5 o'clock in the afternoon with aperitivo and ends when it ends, usually 2 o'clock in the morning with a major case of indigestion. And we were looking forward to have this fantastic meeting. We had booked the hotel, and Alessandro had the restaurant lined up. And of course, everything stopped with COVID, and Alessandro said, why don't we do the aperitivo online? So for the last 33 weeks, every week for 33 weeks, we have had an aperitivo online. And we started with, glasses of colored drinks. We had martinis and Camparis and spritzes and Aperol spritz. And what has happened in these last 33 weeks has been probably the most important intellectual development in my life since I developed enterprise facilitation some 35 years ago. Enterprise facilitation was based on humanistic psychology, and humanistic psychology that I studied when I was doing my PhD. Humanistic psychology basically taught me that every single person has a wish to become the person, the woman, the man, that in the hearts of hearts, they know that they have to become. Was transformative, the understanding of humanistic psychology, because it's given me magical glasses. And it's now 35 years that the only thing I see is beauty, because people, when I look at people, I see the seedling, I see the husk breaking, and the thought germinating, and the beauty that this person can become if only the environment was conducive to their growth. So what I started to do, I started to facilitate the transformation of individual ideas and individual talent and motivation and skills into ways for those people to feed themselves and their families. And we basically invented a counseling profession called enterprise facilitation. And we have trained some 400 enterprise facilitators in 17 countries in the world. And we have worked with probably hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs. We have been able to help to start 55,000 companies. The problem was that my work was very intimate and required an enterprise facilitator to live in a community which was a physical community, a geographical community. And the community had to be small enough, because if you have a community of 1 million people, they will swamp the enterprise facilitator. So the enterprise facilitator was ideal for a suburb. We have worked in a Los Angeles suburb. We have worked for rural communities, for African villages. And, a good geography would be maybe 100,000 people, and one enterprise facilitator who would then go without an office, would be like an incubator without walls. The enterprise facilitator would simply offer free, confidential, caring, compassionate, listening tools to any person with a dream to transform talent and intelligence into a way of feeding himself or herself. What has happened in the last 33 weeks? I discovered that I was completely wrong. I discovered that actually what we thought was a gadget, what we thought was a stupid tools for gamers, what I discovered was something that there was absolutely no depth in it. I was absolutely wrong. I've discovered that actually you can achieve intimacy. And this is the word that I want to make sure that you understand. Intimacy through video conferencing. You can achieve a level of intensity and focus that is nearly impossible to achieve when you first meet one person, because the cultural dance that you have to do before you can actually look at the person in the eye, in some countries is actually a taboo for a man who is a stranger to look a woman in the eye. So what we have been able to achieve with this kind of conversation on video is a level of intimacy that is culturally never, ever happened before in human history. We are seeing a revolution now. Me looking at you in your eye without have ever met you, without knowing whether you are, what kind of religion, whether knowing, it would be impossible for me to speak the way I'm speaking to you, to an Arab woman or to an Aboriginal woman. It's a taboo. And yet I'm having conversation right now around the world in this kind of formats for 10, 20, 30 weeks in New Zealand, in Australia, with indigenous people population in Canada. I have replicated what Alessandro Fossato in his IT geniality said, let's do it virtually. I did not even know how to use Zoom. Alessandro had to take control of my computer and guide me through. And now we have a level of intimacy with a group of Italian entrepreneurs, and I see many on this conference call. And I would like for them to offer some testimonials of what has happened. But these people have become friends. Not only they become business partners. Not only they have been. We have had emotions. We have had friendships. We have had people who have then migrated from the video to meet for the first time. And what they told me about the emotions to meet physically after having spent, imagine 33 weeks, 2 hours or 3 hours per week. You have had this conversation eyeball to eyeball for 90, 100 hours. It is absolutely magnificent. So what is digital humanism? Digital humanism is the possibility for people who really understand the power of listening with complete focus and with this kind of admiration, the possibility of extending a listening admiration to the effort of the person in front of you. And the moment that you can do this remotely, I discovered we can then work with communities of intent. I discovered what Saeed has discovered, that these women will write to him with absolutely overjoyed, overcome with the joy of being able to do something beautifully and also being able to meet other people and break the isolation. We teach that the death of the entrepreneur is solitude. We teach that you can invent in solitude, but the only way to innovate is in the marketplace, together. And I believe that in terms of remember consciousness, remember the idea of Jung. Remember that we are not born to be able to create alone. It takes two DNA, the male and the female DNA. They have to merge to create new life. We are not being created for solitude. And so I believe that these instruments, this digital technology is actually extraordinary for spreading a respectful, listening, supporting, facilitating tool. And now we can do it at a scale that is extraordinary. I wanted to internationalize the apericals because I wanted to show Italians how wonderful the Germans are, and to the Germans how wonderful the Jordanians are, and for the Canadians how wonderful the Aborigines in Australia are. And because I spent most of my life in cultural diversity and away from Italy, and because, like Maria Cristina, we spend more time on airplanes. Usually we would spend more time on airplanes than in our own homes. We have met beauty. And I cannot accept that we generalize on race, that we generalize on religion. Have you ever been hugged by somebody from a completely different tribe? And I think that actually we have the capacity to hug each other this way. And this is very powerful. So this is a dream for a humanist like me. Transcends individual power organizations. It confirmed that nobody is as intelligent as all of us together, democratizes decisions, creates a grassroots alliance of beautiful people who will be moved to change the world in reflection of their own personal growth and their own beauty. Is an anti-authoritarian. It is an anti-bullying opportunity, the digital world. We can lock arms. We can create communities which are not even global, not even transactional. We can create a human community that is interested in the progress of the human race. So I think it's magnificent, the use of digital technology. And I want to thank Alessandro for the intuition and everybody here who has made the effort to come and listen to our attempt. And my challenge is this. My challenge is that I would like this to be an open series. I would like each of you to get in touch with Diana at Interlogica to say, I have some names that I would like to suggest for the next round of conversation. Because if we could use this kind of tool to bring the best of our international friends to a table, we could do one of these in Spanish with all our Latin American friends, which is extraordinary, the beauty. Why don't we bring why don't we bring in the indigenous people of Latin America? Why don't we bring in, and Maria Cristina, you know them, you know, I know them, you know, we can ask, you know, the Enel network, you know, I can bring in, you know, the people from Chile, you know, we can start to bring in the indigenous people, for instance. Maybe we should have, every time we should have an indigenous person to attend. Because talking about, you know, a completely different perspective, oh my God, what could we do with this? I see Carlo Ferrara is with us. Carlo, what could we do with this? So, so it's too beautiful. So thank you. Thank you.
I have to thank you, Ernesto, for all the beautiful things that you shared with us. It was really, really, really touching. So, and I am feeling that right now, what we are actually doing is facilitating our being human through a tool that is technological. So the fact that I see 60 participants to this conference is a sign that it actually is a very, very let's say, trendy topic, and everybody connected from probably different part of the world, as I'm seeing names here. And this is really beautiful. So thank you very much for adding valuable contribution to already valuable contribution of the other speakers. I would really like, I saw a raised hand, Francesco. I would like for him to ask a question, or I saw his hand raised. Francesco, would you like to tell us what you wanted to? I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
Francesco, sorry, you are referring to me.
I am talking to you. Yes, exactly.
Yes. No. We hear very well all the question that are spoken for all, and generally we don't have a specific question now, because I also concentrate focused with the cat that is in front of you, but is not in front of the telecom.
Can you introduce to your cat?
The cat. This is a Bengal cat.
What's its name?
The name is Figo-like. Is the name of the cat. Is a Bengal, and this period in this to last day, it was not very well, because maybe it eats something that was not very well for the cat. So this afternoon come back is così dice allevatore. Allevatore, come si dice allevatore in inglese?
Breeder, from the breeder. Came back from the breeder.
Come here the breeder to see the cat, but at the end maybe that after 2 or 3 days he started to stay better now.
Francesco, you are one of our apericolers. Can you tell people your experience with coming to our meetings every week? Do you like the meetings that we're having?
No, a lot. I think that now we are I think 30 apericoler. No, maybe that I frequent this meeting, and every Thursday I stay. I delete every my meeting or ever things, because I don't want to lose this kind of the meeting, and is a very good group, because we have a lot of experience, and in this group I start to find month by month or week by week, every time a new person which I can collaborate with him.
And you set up a startup, correct?
Yeah,
you had a startup, a new startup.
We started just with just a moment. Okay, Figo is pressed some button. Okay. No, it's on the. I was at with la tastiera. Just a moment.
No, we can see you. We can see you. It's fine. Okay.
No.
And you
push in every way. Where? And we meet, for example, I meet Nicola Chiaranda, for example, that is a person who participated at the Italian meeting, and we create together, we say a startup at the moment that is ethical consulting, and it's a firm that we want to help the PMIs, is the small and medium enterprise, to don't close their door, because in this period I think we have a lot of the crisis for them, and where it's possible, we hope to help this company to give from one side, an experience of financial and an administration solution, and in other side to give an experience in marketing. So I hope that in the future we have also other possibility inside the same in the group. We just have an agreement with some person inside the group to help them to don't lose their time, I say.
Thank you, Francesco. I would really like to know if there is anybody else with a question for our speakers or would like to...
Yeah, Luca Del Medico had his hand raised. I saw a message from Luca.
If I may jump in just a second.
Of course, Maria Cristina, yes.
I simply wanted to say publicly that, Ernesto, I accept your challenge. I think it's a very good idea, also thanks to Diana and all the staff and the way they organize this discussion. And also being inspired from what you have said, and Francesco also now. I think that we all together, if I think about myself, and you said, I used to travel a lot, not because I like to travel all around the world, because I go on field working locally with all the stakeholders and the local communities in which we are involved. And so we try in a co-design perspective to build up opportunities. What Francesco was saying, I think is absolutely relevant. There is a way in which we can work together, connecting through platforms and digitalization in order to support and to boost a recovery in terms of socioeconomic recovery in these difficult times. As you said, I have a friend and colleagues connected, such as Carlo. We are present in many different parts of the world. And I think this is an extraordinary opportunity to catch, to stay tuned and connected, and to share our experiences, good ideas and practices, to do what you normally do, Ernesto, in your daily life everywhere in the world. So if you want, we are here available at your disposal.
I never had, we have worked physically in communities with Enel in Latin America, and it was a beautiful experience. I think that we can really do this digitally, connecting even some very, very remote communities. We have enterprise facilitator who can train in various languages now. I think that the digital tool could be marvelous, and that we should explore it. I see that Carlo is very aware of what we are saying. But there are a couple of people that I saw that they have raised their hand.
There is also Luca who raised his hand.
Yeah.
Yes, Luca.
Buonasera a tutti, and I'm very happy to be here because it's another sign of the thing that you were talking about. It's very hard to feel alone, and when you're part of this group of the apericolers, or also these maybe, or the others, you feel that all your thoughts, your big thoughts, the things that the people say, no, it's impossible, it's such a big project, you need 100 people, where do you go and find them and whatever. It's not so impossible, because there are 100 people who share your way of living and see the community. And this is very important when you have a project that you want to launch on the market, and market is a bad word, I say, and you don't know if people are able to feel the project, and to join the project with a sort of risk, and maybe not a risk of economics, but a risk of failing. Okay. And so day after day, if you have the patience, you find the persons who understand what you want to do, and they join the project because they are not forced. Ernesto always says, don't don't let the people do the things they don't want to do, because it takes a long goal, a short goal, but after 2 weeks they go away. Okay, and this is what I feel. Sometimes I think to share the protocol with the people that are not in the same line, or I think they're not in the same line, to show them that maybe thinking now is better than doing, because most of the apericolers come from a region, is a Venetian region, and the imperative word is making money. It was for years and years by doing. Now we have to think or rethink, maybe also a social community, and it takes time, but I think we are on the right way. And then, I mean, Alessandro and all the other guys are talking initially. This is the real revenge of the nerds. Okay, the nerds going with the computer and apart from the word. Maybe you weren't apart from the word. Maybe it's your time now. So thank you for being here with me. Grazie. And grazie, Ernesto.
Lovely working with you, Luca. Lovely.
Thank you.
There was a message that I received from Leandro. Leandro Agro is in California, and he wanted to share something. Leandro, you want to share something? And then I give the microphone back to Diana and I shut up.
Thank you, Ernesto. I would like to share, first of all, this impression that I had during the aperitif in which I participated, that is this sense of grace and openness, that it is something that not so often you find, regardless if you are talking about physical event, remote event, a mixed event. So being open and give the opportunity to anybody to share his own idea and in some way participate in crafting a vision that is a common vision, is something that is not usual. So first of all, I would like to share with all of you this sense of, I would like just to say thank you in some way. And the other thing is that I often felt myself maybe sometimes the only designer that was part of the call, or let's say, we spoke a lot about technology. We spoke about how to make companies, so from the business standpoint, from the marketing standpoint, from the product standpoint. But let's say in our diversity, I am the design guy, and sometimes I feel the need to make you the service of spreading the idea and the point of view that design could provide in terms of tools, in terms of contribution. And for example, there are a couple of things that I heard also this morning that maybe make sense to comment. For example, personally, I think that technology is never neutral. I know that there is someone that thinks the opposite, but to me, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from politics. And design, developing time, specific methodology and approaches like the aesthetic of trust or design ethics or the product behavior design, that are practices that helps to make the things in the way in which are non-neutral, and in the same way are targeting the kind of future, the kind of vision that we would like to achieve. What I mean when I say that technology is not neutral and why any advanced technology, it is politics. Let me do a very concrete example. In 2008, I ran a startup called WireTag. WireTag was, let's say, about the Internet of Things. Was actually a pioneering project, and we developed a couple of sensors to monitoring the quality of air, and we spread all those sensors in the roof in several buildings in Milan, giving a clear idea with a very high granularity of how the pollution was in the city. the consequence of measuring the things in this way is that, of course, you can make a difference between the level of pollution street by street. So that means that, for example, Corso Monforte, that is a very high valuable place for fashion and architecture in Milan, was to consider very bad from the, let's say, pollution standing point, while other areas that are in theory not so valuable from the real estate point of view should be considered as the nicer one. What means? What means that the consequence of technology, it is something that you can actually measure with a real impact in real world. And just to move from this old example to a very actual one, Google just launched a version of Google Maps that include the maps of COVID-19. And you can see the difference for each different counties in the sense of the number of people over 10,000 that has COVID-19. And if you go deeper, sorry, in this example, you can find in which specific areas, on which specific street, you have different percentage of risk. You might influence the people in a way in which they might avoid a certain store, certain areas, or they can decide to sell the home in one place and buy in another one. So the concepts of technology are much broader than we think and do not exist at transparent technology, or do not exist the idea to be not something that deeply influence the human behavior. In any case, you are targeting 1,000 or 100,000 or million or 100 million people. So there is no way that Facebook is transparent, to make an example. And regardless of what the recent documentary has shown us about the artificial intelligence behind most of those, let's say, social engine, the reality is that they are designed with a bias, because the people that designed the algorithm itself are bringing those bias into the code. I learned this lesson many years ago when a colleague of, that was coming from Sweden developed a code to make face recognition, and he did it during the night, and as a good Swedish, was almost drunk. In the morning after, he called the whole company to see the algorithm working, and was not working because the color of the skin was different, was much clearer in the morning because he was not drunk. So my 2 cents for all of you today is design is at your service. Sometimes it's needed to reinvent everything from scratch, to not bring all biases into your project and ideas. Sometimes you can have valuable tools. Aesthetic of trust, design ethics, design thinking are practices that are there since, I don't know, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and you can actually use it. And at least those ingredients could be part of the recipe, whatever you want to achieve. This is my message.
May I answer to Leandro? Leandro, the reason why we have a series called Digital Humanism is because we want to fight, and we want to offer an alternative to a technology that is dehumanizing. So there is a very, very reason why we all fell in love with the possibility of a discussion about digital humanism, because the alternative is absolutely scary. And we have to make sure that we don't give up our humanity, and that we use new technologies ourselves to fight people who would like to utilize technology for us humans to become a product. We are aware of, and people jokingly, talk about the matrix. We are very aware that we could be reduced to energy that keeps the machinery going, because we spend money, because we consume, and we become part of some sort of a big machine. And the fight for humanity is a fight for control of the machine, and for so we have to remember that people like for those of us who remember, it's always the digital pioneers were hippies, and the digital pioneers, they thought that digital would be about freedom. And now we see that, like every tool, the automobile can become a tank, a armored vehicle. So every technology can be militarized, can be weaponized, and we have to always remember who we are and who is in charge. And I believe that digital humanism means billions of free minds being able to reach out and form some sort of constant alternative in defense against to be instrumentalized and to be reduced to serves of powers.
As Bastian was saying, so this is also a matter of responsibility that we have.
Yes, and the collective intelligence that Bastian was talking about, and the fact that diversity brings perspective, the way Frank was describing, the idea that there is a kind of energy behind just generating energy, that you can use technology to control, or you can use technology to liberate. And there is a for those who remember the beautiful science fiction movie Brazil, for those who have not seen Brazil, please watch it. But it was the actual terrorist was the person who would go to sabotage the way the communication and infrastructure were built inside buildings. And so the terrorist who was the De Niro, they will go there and open up all the cables coming into the building and bypassing cables so that people had not to go through Facebook. Well, Facebook did not exist at the time, but basically what we are saying is that tools for freedoms, not tools for control. So Leandro, absolutely correct. We need creative designers to also inspire us to design for freedom instead of designing for to become yet another data point in in a Facebook universe.
Can we give a word to Arthur with his hand raised?
Thank you all the speakers. It's been so interesting to listen to all your stories and hope. I'm speaking from Uruguay, just as a fun fact, but I am Brazilian. I have two questions, one for Alessandro and one for Ernesto. I really liked the tokens initiative that Alessandro shared, and I started asking myself, like, what would be the challenges of implementing it in different settings? So I was curious to know if there were specific challenges that you guys faced while implementing and how you went about solving them. One thing that came to my mind was like, was there a black market of tokens? Or so if you could comment on things that happened and how you guys solved it, I would love to hear. And I will ask the second question to Ernesto as well. I would love to hear more on how these aperitifs meeting got started, specifically on how people were selected, if they were already people who had clarity on their passion, or if they discovered that along the way. So, because I read your books and I know you said that enterprise facilitators work with people who are lovers and not tourists. So they,
they
well,
are self-selected.
I'll let you answer
yeah.
the question later. Yeah.
They are self-selected. Yeah, but Alessandro.
Let me answer. The answer is pretty easy. Every time you implement something new in a human organization, you have to expect, you have a lot to learn, because human behaviors are very strange sometimes. So yes, of course, we experimented black market of tokens, people that was asking tokens in change of favors, every kind of strange stuff. But you know, we are we have an agile mindset. Everything we do is an experiment, and from every experiment you learn. So when you implement something new and you see strange behaviors in the community of people, that behaviors allow you to learn something. And so you start to understand what's generating that kind of behavior and how to bring back that behavior to the correct way to manage things. And all these strange behaviors helps you to understand that some people could not understand the values below the exchange of that tokens. So it happened, it's not a problem. Every time you see something strange in the community, you have something to learn and something to improve. And so that's all. It's a life learning tool too.
My answer about the aperitivo, what happened was that I had already met some entrepreneurs and trained a group of entrepreneurs in the ecosystem surrounding Interlogica and the company of Alessandro Fossato. So we started by calling the same people who were supposed to come to dinner. And we had some 40, 45 people who had expressed an interest to meet with me again, to bring their spouses, to go out and have dinner together, and then talk about what they had done with the previous meetings with me, because we have been running classes, physical classes of 20 participants per class. And so we started with those people, and then we asked them to invite some friends. So then very soon we started to see new faces, and every week some of them, they invite a dear friend or somebody that they think would enjoy the kind of conversation. The conversations are completely free-flowing. There is no agenda. We never know what's going to happen. And we have developed this kind of lovely method where Alessandro welcomes everybody, asks if anybody has brought guests. Then we give the guests the time to introduce themselves, to tell us what they're doing. And then we go around the room to say, okay, who had something happening this week that they want to share? And people talk about the most bizarre things. And so we have had a scientist coming for weeks, and a very, very sophisticated, nuclear physicist who works at CERN in Geneva, and he was telling us things that he was doing that for us were absolutely science fiction. And then from the artisan working alone in a workshop. And what we did two things. We offer initially a shoulder to cry on, if in case of COVID they were too scared and they did not know what would happen. We offer companionship and this very kind of friendly listening and supporting tool where we will take interest in people's ideas and stories, and we there was absolutely no pressure and free flowing conversation. So people basically are self-selected in the sense that they come once, they don't like it, don't come again. Those who keep coming is because they have found that in this specific moment in their lives, they is good to be able to share their idea with a group of people and to hear that, yeah, you're not the only one suffering right now, and you're not the only one with a dream, and you're not the only one who is stuck because doesn't know how to transform the dream into reality. And then learn that certain concepts from collective, that is becoming part of our collective consciousness, which is don't try to do it alone. Nobody in the world can make it, sell it, and look after the money. Join forces with people who are different from you. Create diversity even at the micro level. What we are teaching is that you are not a startup unless you have a team. By yourself, you're an inventor. You are not a startup until you have product, marketing, and finance, 3 different skills working together. You are not. So it's absolutely a waste of time to teach one person to set up a company, because that person alone will never set up a company. The company is set up by a team. The starting point is 3, not 1. 1 is an inventor, 3 is an innovation. So you go from invention to the innovation as soon as you can commercialize your product or your service. So we teach, but it's a kind of learning that is the experiential, is we all do it, we all talk about it. And so I think it's correct when Maria Cristina was saying, you have to have, you establish the vision for the company. And then when you do, when you listen to people, they become, they have a mirror and they can look at you and they like what they see, but what they see is also themselves. There is a little bit of themselves in a company that has such diversity, such understanding, that when people look at the corporation, they can see the humanity, they can see that there is a value that reflects their own values. If they don't see the reflection of their own values, if the corporation is devoid of values, then the person cannot see themselves. There is no, therefore there is no loyalty. You have to keep paying these people more and more and more because they hate working for a place that is which doesn't reflect their values.
Ernesto, what you're saying is, excuse me if I interrupt you, because we have some questions, and I know that Alessandra would like to speak about another digital humanist initiative. And excuse me?
Yes, sorry, Diana. Let's go.
No, yes, and I would really like to hear about it. It's something that uses, it's completely digital, and it uses the logics of the Trinity of Management. So if you could tell us a little bit more about it, really
I wanted to connect, to go deeper a little bit, and what I'm saying is connected to what Ernesto was saying. At the beginning of the lockdown, we did this. We had in program before the lockdown. We had we scheduled that dinner, and we converted that dinner in the first apericall. And the amazing thing is that during that first apericall, we had the possibility to speak with a lot of entrepreneurs, and we were all afraid, all worried about what was happening in the world. Imagine the first days of the lockdown. And when we seen Ernesto and me realized how big was the drama, because it was, we decided, we were, before the COVID, we were thinking to create an enterprise facilitation center in Italy. When we seen what was really happening during the lockdown, we decided that was the moment to do that. So we started to act as an organization that supports the enterprise facilitation. As Interlogica, we started to be the first Enterprise Facilitation Center in Italy, with Ernesto, that was leading us in this very important path. And it's crazy that during that period, we continued every week together to do the aperture calls, to speak with people, and then to speak with friends, and to know a lot of persons, and a lot of entrepreneurs that was or in need of support, or they was thinking to new business. And I want to say that it was amazing, because during that very dramatic period, we seen the growth of a community of entrepreneurs, of people that was helping each other. We started to understand that we could train, we could transfer the knowledge, the principles of the Trinity of Management to the people. So something that Ernesto did for 35 years in person would be transformed in something remote. And then we asked to part of these people to help us, to help other entrepreneurs sharing their connections. And then another community growth, that is the resource team. And then we discovered that the training was possible. And so we started to do the Trinity of Management workshops. And now, if we see what we grew together during the COVID, this is an incredible community that is complex, that is structured, and that is de facto is a sort of incubator made by people without walls that can act in the same way everywhere in the world, that can support everyone in the world, that is free from the space limits, and I think that's it's something important. During the COVID, together with our friends, we all together created a sort of an organization that is able to spread the Trinity of Management and the enterprise facilitation with no borders. And what I want to say is that I think this is probably the most important thing we did during the COVID, not the remotization of the company, not anything else. This is the most important thing. And now we have the possibility to do that worldwide, and it's a huge thing. Sorry if for my long talk.
Diana, I'll leave you to, because there are a number of people who have would like to ask questions, and I'll leave it to you.
Exactly. I wanted to share a question from one of our guests, and I will read the question because it's really, really interesting. It's from Matteo Montanier, and he texted this to us in the public chat, but I would really like for all of you to hear it. He said, I will ask a provocative question. Over the last 10 years, the motto has become increasingly popular. Data is the oil of digital age, not the people or mankind. But, and he said, we live immersed in a world that absorbs the data. So some say that if a system can be used to control people, then it will surely be used to control them. This is the theory of the Netflix documentary, which was quoted by Maria Cristina, The Social Dilemma. How do we combine human and data components? Because they seem to be two different and separate dimensions or opposed. Is it really like this? This is a very big question, and we only have 10 minutes or so to answer such a big question. What do you think? Some of the speakers would like to give an insight on that, or even the guests. It's a very provocative question.
I think that as
Maybe, Frank, you can go ahead.
I keep it briefly. If you followed the chat a little bit, then you probably already saw that there are different perspectives, different takes on this matter. And Diana, as you mentioned, this is a huge question. I think this is a question that will actually determine what's going to happen with mankind. But anyway, I think something that is really important, or that I feel important from my perspective, is that whenever it comes to the usage of technology and data, that really something that also Bastian mentioned, that the awareness and the conscious usage of technology is really crucial in order to get the best results out of this application of technology. So this is something that I really feel is important, and that also is, when it comes to reflection, not only on your own emotions, but also on the application of different technologies.
Yeah, and I wrote in the chat, we should never ever get tired of spreading the word like we do tonight. We should do it wherever we can, because we see in a wide horizon that, like Frank just said, technology is just used. Our consumption is in a ridiculous speed. I mean, we experience that ourselves. But I think mankind is actually coming to a point where we have to ask these questions, and where we really should think about in which direction we should and will develop to again enlighten our cultural life. That the digitalization is supporting us in our lives and not the other way around. So again, yeah, it's about spreading the word. All of us, we see how difficult it is sometimes to get these in the first chats we had when we started the idea or having the first conversations about the event tonight. I said it's so difficult to integrate these kind of soft KPIs into the world of hard KPIs in big companies and everywhere. But we all know that if we press the soft KPIs, the hard one, we will achieve the hard ones anyway. So again, spreading the word, educating, and awareness, and I think hopefully then we will answer these questions right.
Thank you, Bastian. I know Saeed had another insight on this question.
Yeah, I'll make it very quick. I actually I see a lot of entrepreneurs, and I think it's a very important question. And the way I see and relate data is by remembering where we all came from. I mean, my mother came from a small village in Lebanon, and my father was in Palestine. And in those villages, everybody knew everybody. And in that small community, everybody had access to different data points. Now we call them data points. Yani every username has many different information types. And now come to the right now, where as an example, I live in a city, in a big city, Amman, and we're millions of people, but people don't necessarily know each other very well. And I think this is how startups and communities online should create their communities. Make them small, understand them well, serve them well. They'll come to you, and they will have no problems actually in revealing the necessary information that they want to give you. So in that sense, we have grown, even though we're like a million right now. But it was always with their consent. And that did not create any problems, because all of a sudden people will wake up and say, oh my God, this tool online knows more about me than myself. And that creates all this kind of problems and issues. So, I mean, that's how I would relate it in the context of somebody starting their own businesses online, and they want to remain empathetic and relevant and of value.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I know there is
I know that probably Maria Cristina wants to say something.
No, I was chatting on that subject because that question was really the question, according to me. Very difficult to reply on that. According to me, technology and innovation always brings some kind of risks, as usual, because it depends on the way we use innovation and technology. And so it also depends, as Bastian said and Saeed said, the way that we want to be used at the same time. So it's again a matter of being responsible individually and collectively, according to me. Maybe some rules should be set in terms of indicating the way we need to use also this free and open access to technology and website information and whatever. But at the very end, I totally agree with the fact that we need education and open culture. We need to be conscious and respectful. And the diversity we were talking at the beginning of this conversation is key. Is key what you said, Ernesto. If we know each other, if we hug each other, we understand, we start to empathize with the entire world. And if we do respect human beings the way they are, the way we are, and accept the fact that we are all different, but all the same, because we all become from the same material at the very end, I think is a matter of understanding and accepting and be respectful of every single human life, not only being a pet.
I believe that the reason why we go so I go so well with Alessandro Fossato is that Alessandro comes from a hacking background. I believe that hacking is a fight for freedom, and I believe that digital has the possibility of freeing ourselves and become capable of expressing our citizens' rights. I actually believe in direct democracy. I believe that in 50 years' time, we will vote on every important issue directly on our smartphones, and the smartphone will be so private that it will be impossible to breach them. It will be done by people like Alessandro Fossato, like Cavallerin that was online. I don't know whether he's still with us, a very famous good hacker in Italy. And I believe that it's always been a fight for freedom. So nowhere in historical times, people have been so well educated and free. And if you were, and this is what President Obama asked, if you could be reincarnated in any historical period, where would you like to be reborn? And if the answer is now, because every other historical period, you were a slave, statistically speaking, you were a serf of somebody else. So no bullshit. History has been a constant fight for freedom and for individual emancipation. Women, gay, minorities, each of us is a fight for our individual dignity, freedom, being respected, being capable to make a living. And don't ever abandon the very broad view of what history has been like for the human race. So I think that the most important things about technology, I'm going to read you something, and I would like then you to tell me who wrote it. Technology is nothing. What's important is that you have faith in people that they're basically good and smart. And if you give them tools, they'll do wonderful things with them. Who wrote this?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. So it's about us. Let's have the guts to say what we believe and to be so strong collectively that we are going to scare the pants of any individual corporation. We can destroy tomorrow Facebook. Tomorrow, we just switch off. As soon as these people will disgust us enough, we will switch off. And as soon as somebody like Leandro Agro, Alessandro Fossato will come up with a Facebook that we can own, paying a subscription, we will all join our own cooperative technology. And it's only a question of deciding when to do it. So this is my answer. Yeah, data is very, very important. Let's own it.
Thank you so much, Ernesto. And time flies when you're having so much fun and there's so many questions. Actually, there was a conversation going on while you were talking in the chat, everybody responding to everybody. And I really invite you, Ernesto, to read the whole chat. It was really, really incredible. So with all of these inputs, I really think that there is a chance to create something else, probably some other events. Yes, it's 8 o'clock and there are still 40 participants. So this is really touching. It's really incredible. So I would really like to thank you all and to remind you that if you think this event can be improved, a communication team you will receive an email with a form. Actually, I think somebody from the communication team already copied the link to the form if they can do it also right now. I see everybody's already suggesting topics for the next meeting. This is it's really, really incredible. You're all wonderful human beings and professionals. And so I would really like to thank each one of you for connecting tonight and for still being here, for being so patient and participative. So if somebody would like to say goodbye, or we could just collectively hug each other, just like Ernesto said at the end.
I think that we can go into
really
reactions and give ourselves
just give your reaction to this inspiring event. I would that's a great idea. Okay, just somebody teach me how to do a reaction here, because
look at the button. There is a reaction down there, and
yes.
And also you can, of course, take a picture of the screen, and
this is my reaction to all of you. Thank you so much for making this happen. Thank you so much for your participation and your questions. It was amazing being here with all of you and bringing this together. Thank you to Alessandro for creating the first events, and to the whole communication team, to Ernesto and everybody else, all the other speakers, and of course our guests. Without you, we wouldn't be here. This event would not be possible. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Everyone, bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao a tutti.
Ciao.
Ciao, un piacere.